All right, guys, I just want to be blunt and transparent, tell you a lot about who I am, right? My name is Denzel. I grew up in a Filipino household. And as of growing up in a Filipino household, you're taught to go to school, get a good education, get a good job, kind of the traditional route. I am born in a very small island called Maui, Hawaii. Typically there's not much opportunities there, right? There's typically most of the time you're gonna either work in the hospitality industry or construction, right? And I grew up in a very athletic background. My whole life I was either playing basketball, I did taekwondo, so I was always active, right? And I was always hustling, trying to become the best version of myself. And speaking of hustle, I actually sold spam musibis in high school. So I would come home with like $80 to $100 a day as a high school kid, only selling these for like an hour, right? So I was always had that hustle mentality, right? I always knew that I was capable for more, right? Soon after I graduated high school in 2015, I actually went to college. I went to Western Oregon, right, to become a physical therapist because I wanted to make my family proud. I wanted to make my mom proud because that's all she ever dreamt of. But the crazy thing is that I actually dropped out of college maybe like one day when I got in. Like the story was is like I settled into my dorm, and the same day I settled into my dorm, and that night of I was like, hey, is this something I actually want to do, right? Is this something that I want to do for the next 30 to 40 years? And to be honest, for me, I didn't, right? And I knew I wasn't going to be happy, and I only went to school to please my parents. But at that time, I was like, you know what? I have to actually think for myself because I don't want to waste thousands and thousands of dollars if this is something I'm actually not going to want to fulfill in the long run. So long story short is I dropped out of college after just one day, or maybe even less than one day, right? I worked from 2015 to 2016. I moved back home. I worked for a whole year. And in 2016, I moved to Las Vegas because I knew that Hawaii at the same time didn't have the opportunities for me there, right? I knew that I wouldn't make what I wanted to make in the long run. And so I had to move into a bigger city that can provide me, and I don't know how, but provide me that lifestyle that I wanted, and eventually meet people that can actually help me. So in 2016, I moved to Las Vegas with the intentions of, you know, doing physical therapy, on the side, but starting my own clothing brand, my own gym, because I was very big into fitness at the time. And so, yeah, I planned to start my own gym. That didn't work out, essentially. Then I got into network marketing and met multimillionaires, and I did it for 2 years, but that got me nowhere. Then I tried digital marketing till late 2018, and that got me nowhere at the end of the day as well, right? Then my whole life shifted, right? I found out in late 2018, early 2019 that I had a baby in the way, right? And I was scared shitless as a 21-year-old that just turned 21, right? No life experience. My life, I was still trying to figure things out. I was living paycheck to paycheck. At the time, I was working a call center job, barely making ends meet, right? And so at the time, I was just confused, right? I was confused. I was dead broke, right? And I was freaking scared. Like I was thinking about her future and she wasn't even born yet. And I didn't know what to do as a first time parent, right? From there, I began to just type on online, I began to look for ways to make money online because before my daughter was born, I was thinking like I just wanted to be there for her. I wanted to be there in the sense of like I didn't want to work every time, right? I didn't want to be a full-time slave to my job and a part-time father or a part-time spouse, right? And then that's when I got introduced to trading, right? So from 2019, you can see here, from 2019, I was just looking into trading, and you can see how messed up my charts were because I could not afford a mentor. I could not afford like mentorships, right? Because I was dead broke, right? So I was just learning trading through trials and tribulations, right? From trial and error, from blowing account after account, right? But I knew that trading was the way for me, and I had no way out, right? From 2019 to 2020, I have blown many accounts. I've blown well over $100,000 in trading capital, right? And you can see here, this is just the list of how many And this is just one prop firm account that I have blown multiple times. Most of the people would feel discouraged. Most of the people would quit, but I didn't, because I knew what there was ahead of me was much more greater than what I was going through at the time. From there, October 2020, I did some dumb decisions. I was thinking of getting rich quick, and trading is not that. But I was spending money on trading with money that I could not afford to lose, which that led me to getting evicted in October 2020. I received an eviction letter, and unfortunately, that was actually about a day after my daughter's first birthday. So talk about hardships, talk about setback, talk about I had all the things against me, all the odds stacked against me, and I had every reason to just quit, right? So I flew back home, right? I was living in Vegas. Her mom grew up in Las Vegas, and I flew back home, right? I flew back to Hawaii without her, a day or a week after her first birthday, right? From there, late 2020 to 2021, right? I locked into trading, and I got my biggest payout, right? Of my biggest trading day was $43,000 with a prop firm, right? And I was like, oh wow, I seen the light at the end of the tunnel. I made $43,000, and I have never thought I would ever make that much amount, right? From there, I got ahead of myself, right? I thought I had it all figured out, right? And late 2021, when I made that $43,000 to 2023, I thought I made it. Then I got into lots of partying. I got into drugs. I got into alcohol, right? And I got carried away with myself, right? And from 2023, I worked at a hotel at the time, and, I was just, figuring things out, right? You can see here, I did not like work. I was probably hungover. Looking at this now, I was probably hungover. Then I drew the line, right? I told myself that, hey, this is going to be the last year, right? I'm never going to go broke, right? This is the last year that my life is going to be the way it was the past 2 to 5 years. So I told myself in 2024, and I posted this on Instagram, and you can see the date here at the top, right? It says, it's time to get serious. It's time to get serious about your life. It's time to stop looking at what everyone is doing and trying to impress others, and start looking at how you can be better. See, life will continue to get harder, not easier. And if you've been playing around and being casual, you're in for a rude awakening, right? Sacrifice leisure now to develop yourself, invent yourself, invest into yourself, right? Start that business you've been thinking about. Invest into a mentor and do something. Get serious, get focused, get started. The time is now. Don't let this be another year. Happy 2024, guys. Let's fucking get it. I'm going to level up massively. Are you coming to? This was a powerful statement that I've put in, and this statement here changed my whole entire life. And here's how quickly it did. In 2024, I started with $0 to my name, dead broke. My first paycheck, I put it into some funding accounts, and I got funded, right? And in 30 days, right, I got funded $1.2 million in March 2024. Think about that. How life-changing would that be? From there, I secured $130K in payouts in the next 30 days. You can see here, right, some of it, right? 2,000, 18,000, 14,000, 5,000, 20,000, 10,000, 19,000, 24,000, 15,000, 16,000. My life completely shifted in 60 days. From there, I quit my job in June 1st, 2024. I traveled all around the world. I really felt what freedom actually looked like and was like without traveling, without even checking my bank account. I was able to go to Bali, Dubai, Monaco, France, Finland, Norway, Philippines, Japan, South Korea, right? I went Bali 3 times in under a year, right? And I got to experience real freedom. So I want to thank myself, and I want to thank the market flow model, aka the MFM strategy. This MFM strategy has changed my perspective of how I looked at the markets. This has helped me develop a proven trading system that I will show you very shortly. So let me just break down a simple breakdown of the MFM strategy, right? So basically, how it typically will work is you will have you will identify the trend, right? Your trend is your friend. So you want to identify that trend. So for example, let's just say we are in a uptrend. We got the high, right? Higher low, higher high. Okay. Essentially what we're looking for is for price to come into that area of demand. And in that area of demand, right, it will look something like this. Right, you identify that demand, and usually those demand zones are going to be at the higher low points, right? So you're going to wait for price to come into demand because you want to buy low and sell high. So when price creates a low, high, higher low, higher high, what you're typically doing is waiting for price to retrace into that area of demand. In that retracement, in simple terms, and I'm going to keep it simple for you guys, in that retracement, there is going to be a counter trend. There's going to be a temporary downtrend acting as the retracement, right? So what you typically look for is for price to tap into that demand, but you don't just enter when price taps into that demand. You're waiting for price to create that shift. You're waiting for price to turn from a downtrend, right, into an uptrend. And this is what I call the market structure shift right here. Okay, so that's going to be the market structure shift right over here. And what we typically do then is we will wait for retracement, enter at the retracement, and we will look for long positions to the upside. So this is typically the strategy that I typically use. Again, it's the same thing vice versa when it comes to a downtrend, right? But this is an MFM strategy that I have typically used that has helped me make $130,000 in 60 days. Okay, so from there, right, I have helped a bunch of people, right? I produced a six-figure trader 2 months ago, and I'm creating more, right? For example, Jeff, he took my mentorship with me 2 years ago, right? And just 2 months ago, a few months ago, he already messaged me and told me thank you, because he was able to compound everything. Even though I teach forex, he took the same concepts of the MFM strategy and applied it to the stock market and the crypto market. And now he's up $100,000. Now here's all the other testimonials, just like Cage, right, who just finished my mentorship, right, and also Ryan, right, who has also finished my mentorship as well. And a bunch of these people, a bunch of testimonials here. These are just a few that have helped go from $0, right, to making consistent profits, right? Like we have Ryan that just made, if I can show you here, we have Ryan that, they all just trade our live sessions. We all make money at the same time, and they learn as they grow. And he's already up, and he made just $400, right, from 1 day of work, right, of trading for 1 day, which is like about an hour or two. So that's a little bit background about me, right? I've helped a whole bunch of traders, right? And if this is for you, right, if this is something you want to do, escape the 9 to 5, create your own reality, right? Just DM me reserve, right? DM me on Instagram, and here is my Instagram. DM me on Instagram reserve, and I can see if I can possibly even help you. Again, I work with a tight knit of communities, and so it is important for you guys to understand, I don't really try to help everyone. I only want to help people that are serious on making this a transformation and actually changing their life. So again, if this is for you, if you really want to be helped, and you want to see if I can possibly help you, you will book a call in the meeting. Just DM reserve and we'll go from there. Well, other than that, I appreciate you guys watching. I wish nothing but the best. I wish nothing but peace and success. So thank you guys for watching.